I'm Dana Levin, Associate Professor and Distinguished Writer in Residence at Maryville. And the Award for Excellence in Creative Writing recognizes a graduating senior for excellence, growth, and achievement in writing fiction, creative nonfiction, poetry, or drama. This year, the award goes to Julia Johns. Woo! Yeah! I've had Julia twice in my poetry class, and just really impressed by the sounds and images in her poems and the obsessive interest in women of power, and how that just kept playing out over and over and over again in the poems, but never monotonous, never boring, always interested in trying to find out new things about the characters that would arise as she was writing these poems. And I also, in working with her one-on-one, getting ready to getting her MFA portfolio together, just her total openness to just being pushed and pulled in all sorts of different directions. Thank you for enduring me, Julia. And I think Julia is going to end up creating a really amazing and strong portfolio with feminist concerns that do not stint on all of the craft elements that make poetry strong. So thank you, Julia. It was a pleasure working with you.
I'd like to add that out of all of our creative writing minors at Maryville, I think Julia has been the one that showcases most multi-genre facility. I'm Dr. Jess Bowers, Assistant Professor of English, and I teach fiction. But I've also had Julia in a multi-genre online creative writing class where we did poetry, creative nonfiction, and fiction. And the ease with which Julia applies all the themes that Dana alluded to all three of the genres that I've worked with her in. It's something to see, and I think it's going to really serve her well going forward, both in terms of applying prose techniques to poetry and vice versa. So really excited to see where Julia's writing goes in the future. And, you know, like Dana, I think a strong portfolio is on the way.
I'm Jermaine Murray, Professor of English, and I've had Julia in class, I can't tell you how many times. But I'm going to speak to her academic writing. Which I find to be extremely elegant for an undergraduate. I even thought so when I had her as a freshman. I thought she has this elegant, simple, beautiful, but varied style. And I really always looked forward to reading her papers. In fact, I would always end in reading her papers because it would make me feel better after reading a lot of papers. I also really appreciate her sensitivity when she's we're in the process of discussion and interpreting literature. She's got a marvelous sense of people, and I'm really going to miss that, by the way, and her marvelous insights too into people. I had her too in senior seminar, and she did a lovely, lovely thing on the English language and a variety of different biblical translations and the way that language was used. So, Julia, good luck. I cannot wait to see where you're going to go.
I'm Jesse Cavadlo, Professor of English. I also got to have Julia as a student when she was a first-year student, and then follow up in other literature classes. And it was evident right away, and continued to be evident, that she loves to read and loves to write, and that kind of real joy and appreciation of literature and thinking about how literature works and how it applies to herself and other people is really wonderful to behold. So thank you, Julia.
I'm John Marino, Professor of English, and I had Julia in a couple of literature classes. And she does like to read a lot, and she was very insightful regarding the text. She would have very challenging interpretations, and I could always look forward to her papers as taking the angles that I didn't expect. And it was always a thrill to read her papers and learn from her. I learned a lot from her. I didn't just teach her, I learned from her. And that was very wonderful to have in a student. Thank you, Julia.
And I'm Dr. Art Sandy Roach, I'm an assistant professor of English. And I had Julia for 2 classes. And one of those classes where I really got to know her very well was in my writing for stage and screen class, where she wrote these short plays and short screenplays that had such a level of emotional depth to them. One of the things that stood out to me about her writing was how she knew how to write these kinds of quiet, reflective moments that sometimes happen between people that care about each other or think they care about each other. And so I was always really struck by just the kind of the subtlety that she brought with a lot of her storytelling. And I really want to echo what Jermaine had to say in regards to saving her work for last, because it was always the one that made me feel really good about what I was doing. It made me have a renewed faith in English majors even. So, so Julia, thank you so much for that. We are so excited for what's going to be happening next for you, and we beg you to please keep in touch with us. We love you, and we're so honored to award you with the Creative Writing Award. It is so well deserved, and so are all the wonderful things that are going to be happening to you next. So good luck, and we wish you all the best success. Round of applause.